Roll call, please. Ms. Deneen? Here. Mr. Humphrey?
Here.
Mrs. Pepper-Gola? Here. Ms. Johnson? Here. Mr. Trepagan?
Here.
Mayor Kovac?
Here. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided indicating the time and place of the meeting, the proposed agenda, which notice was posted, made available in newspapers and filed with the clerk of the town of Clinton, in accordance with section 3D of chapter 231 of the public laws of 1975. NJSA 10:4-8B authorizes municipalities to conduct public meetings through the use of streaming services and other online meeting platforms. Public Law 2020, Chapter 11 amends OPMA to clarify that in times of emergency, public bodies may vote, accept public comment, and cause a meeting to be open to the public via electronic means. Town of Clinton is using Zoom video meetings. Please be aware that this meeting is being recorded for the public record. Zoom is imperfect, so if glitches pop up, please be patient. We'll address all public comments for any topic not on the agenda at the beginning of the meeting. Questions and general comments on agenda items can be asked after council's completed discussion. We will take comments during the public hearings on any ordinance on the agenda. Please use the chat feature in Zoom to indicate that you wish to be recognized for a comment. You can also type in your questions. Feel free going forward to email councilmeeting@clintonnj.gov with any questions or concerns between meetings or questions you would like answered during future council meetings. You must provide your name and address to be recognized for comment. We ask that you keep your device muted until called upon by the council. Meetings moderator may also mute participants. We are having some technical difficulties, so we do have people on Zoom. We're just not going to see them on the screen. So Councilman Humphrey will be managing that. So we do have an audience. They can see us, we just can't see them. Okay, with that, can I have a motion to approve the council meeting minutes of November 10th and November 24th?
I'll move.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Can I have a motion for the November monthly reports?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Is there anything from the public that's not currently on the agenda for discussion? And on Zoom, is there anyone that has anything? No, you're on the agenda.
Okay.
Oh, you're on the agenda. Just something.
Sorry.
No, Mayor.
No, okay. I just have one update. We had our town hall on Monday. The chief and I and council members were in attendance. It was I thought it was a very good meeting. It was well attended and a lot of good points and comments were brought up. And I think that there's still some more discussions that are going to continue. As we said, this is one step of many more steps to happen, and it will also include a lot of public meetings and a lot of public comment. So with that, oh, and I do have one other thing. Mark from City Spot, who wrote, produced, directed a movie in the town of Clinton, has given the town of Clinton his original script with all of the notes and comments, as well as messages from everyone who was in the movie. So we're gonna add this to our historic room because at some point in time, this is gonna be a historic document. So I'm gonna give this to you to have sent over there. So we thank Mark for that. And that is all I have. We have some fun stuff going on. So is anyone here from the high school? Is there anyone on Zoom from the high school? No. All right. So I'm going to read a proclamation that will then get sent over to high school. Whereas the North Hunterdon High School's athletic department is outstanding in all aspects, but especially those who have gone above and beyond this season. The winning seasons are defined as follows. Whereas the North Hunterdon field hockey team had an incredible season, finishing 21-1 overall. The Lions were a dominant force within the conference, county, and state, winning all 3 titles. More impressive still, this was the first time in program history that the North Hunterdon field hockey team was able to capture a state title. Their successes on the field demonstrated hard work that the group had put in all year round, refining their skills and creating an excellent foundation to build upon the future. Team members, I'm going to destroy names. Ava Label, Sarah Roberts, Lauren Masters, Kendall Vardy, Brian Anderson, Annika Hoyer, Katie Roberts, Liv Reeder, Lily Kumar, Maggie Sampson, Brenna Benson, Jamie Skeffington, Sarah Bison, Tara Crescenzi, Caroline Brenkel, Amanda Backert, Brooke Cahill, Molly Klaus, Kate Hall, McKenna Lehman, Emmy Raba, led by head coach Jeff Chrisman and assistant coach Amy Masters. Whereas the North Hunterdon Boys Cross Country team continued its legacy of greatness this year, capturing the conference, county, and state titles. Program was defined by expert coaches and media outlets as pack runners. This pack mentality allowed our cross-country boys to push their limits, compete among each other, and become the best versions of their athletic selves in the process. Team members are Aaron Wysocki, Carter Beswick, Lucas Miller, Asa Alderman, David McKinnon, Jeremy Bavo, Braden Barrow, led by head coach Tom Higgins. And whereas the North Hunterdon girls volleyball team finished 28-1 overall, girls played top-seeded competition throughout the season and proved their skill by winning most matches in only 2 sets. The girls won the division, county, and state titles this year despite injuries, demonstrating the depth of this extraordinary roster. Team members were Emily Walters, Elise Ortel, Tori Koo, Colleen Russell, Emma Murray, Sam Wilton, Brooke Logar, Kat Loya, Jackie Doherty, Bella DeCabo, Mia Macchia, Anna Nelson, Kaylin Martini, led by head coach Kirk Hissner and assistant coach Jeff Blair. Therefore be it resolved, the mayor and council of the town of Clinton recognize that the North Hunterdon High School athletes be congratulated for their fantastic accomplishments. So congratulations to all. It's sent to the high school as well. All right. We now have a presentation from Go Hunterdon. So Tara, the floor is yours.
And I have Ryan Fisher with me, our safety programs coordinator.
Someone got a camera.
We actually have 2 awards for the town of Clinton this evening. The first is in recognition of the adoption of your Complete Streets policy during 2021. And we appreciate the efforts of the town of Clinton to improve pedestrian facilities and address pedestrian safety in your community. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
And
Just gonna use the box.
our second award, I'll come up here too. Our second award goes to the Town of Clinton Police Department in appreciation of their involvement with conducting a Street Smart pedestrian safety campaign in the town of Clinton this year. And it's wonderful to have a great partner with the police department.
Thank you.
Ryan, take that.
Sure. Thank you for your support, Ashley. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And we appreciate all the work that you guys do.
Corey, you keep the box?
I have to let Seal figure out where she's gonna put it. I know better than to touch anything. And with that, I'm now gonna turn the floor over to Dr. Seth Cohen from Clinton Public School. The floor is yours.
Okay, and Bernadette Wang, our business administrator, is here as well. And I guess we'll just go over what's going on in Clinton Public. So thank you for having us here this evening. We were here a few years ago for athletics, I believe.
Yes.
When we won a championship, hopefully we'll be back again.
Can you come closer? The camera is on the top of this. I want to
Okay.
make sure people
Is that
can see you.
close enough?
That's
or-
great. That's great.
Okay. Sorry for my back over here. And then we had a great time in the parade. That was awesome.
It was
Kids-
awesome.
Kids loved it. It's the highlights. It's turning into the highlight of the year. It really is. So thank you all for involving us. So over the past several months, the Clinton Glen Gardner Board of Education discussed the CPS outdoor space and the needs for renovation to enhance the safety and to eliminate barriers for all students. On any given day, 430 students are playing outside or on the playground equipment. The current equipment we have is 20 years old, it lacks universal accessibility, and is really at the end of its useful life. Over the past several years, we've needed to remove pieces of equipment that were either compromised or broken. The time has come for the playground to be renovated. Specifically, the board wants to undertake the renovations of the existing playground at CPS to acquire and install new playground equipment increase wheelchair accessibility to both the upper and lower parts of the field, pave the path, repave the courts, and address any associated site work. As the board and administration explored funding options for the project, we paid close attention to the board's existing debt structure and any potential impact to the taxpayers. As described herein, it is decided that the bond referendum made the most sense. Over the past several decades, the board has financed several capital projects through the issuance of school bonds that were approved via referendum. The timing of debt expiration often coincides with new improvements. For example, debt service payments for the media center and makerspace renovations began as the debt from a prior project expired. This resulted in a consistent debt service tax levy and no new net tax impact. So right now, the school district finds itself in a similar situation. The school district has debt from a 2009 bond issue that is set to expire this year. Hence, that presents an opportunity to undertake the proposed project. The estimated new debt service associated with the project will actually result in a slight reduction when compared to the amount of existing debt service that is being paid off from the current 2009 bonds. After consulting with our architect, the project has evolved into a comprehensive plan. For example, the old playground could have been simply switched out for new playground equipment. However, that would not address the surface accessibility, nor did it address access to the lower part of the field. As for the proposed financing method, in lieu of a referendum, the board could have chosen to utilize its capital reserve fund. Specifically, the board could have utilized $500,000 from its capital reserve simply to replace the current equipment. This funding option would not be eligible to receive any state aid. Additionally, this option did not address accessibility, so additional funds would still be needed to secure and address accessibility. The cost associated with simply replacing the equipment is obviously substantial, so it would have drained capital reserve fund and it would have left the project incomplete. Our reserves were critically low in 2009, and we've worked hard over the past decade to provide long-term fiscal stability for our district by increasing and maintaining reserves. Since utilizing funds in the capital reserve presented limitations, the board began exploring other financing options. This led to the decision to hold a referendum. One main benefit of a referendum is that the board is eligible to receive up to 40% of the eligible costs of the projects in the form of annual debt service aid. The aid from the state would allow the board to undertake the entire project while only spending a similar amount of local monies as if the board was replacing the playground equipment. Again, the debt service aid is only available if the voters approve the referendum. So we are hopeful that this project will serve the students and the community for the next 20 years. Also, we are hopeful that all students will have access to the entire outdoor space at CPS. While we understand the complexities of the referendum and requisite voting, the benefits of being able to undertake the entire project as a result of being eligible for state debt service aid while keeping the debt service levy stable is the best funding option for the project. So that's kind of the big picture and the communication that we're using to explain why we did what we did, and I can hand out some of these to the council members. Sure. And this is just a site plan of the project that is described. So you can see what it's replacing of the playground and creation of the new path and the new equipment.
Thank you.
Sure, the ADA ramp and a few different other items in there. So at the end of the day, we needed new equipment. I mean, it's at the end. If you look at it now, it's not the same as it was 10 years ago. There's pieces that have been removed because they've broken or failed, and so we are replacing the project. We have to replace the playground. And while we're doing that, you know, we're hoping that the scope of this project will set us forward for the next 20 years at least. It's a great benefit. And you see it now. Kids are out there all day. They're playing. They're running around on the playground every single day. Every single kid is outside, and it's important, you know, now more than ever. And from the business side or the finance side, being able to piggyback on top of existing expiring debt keeps the debt levy flat, so you won't see any net increase on that end. And we've been doing that for decades, keeping improving the school. And I think for the big picture, the improving the school district is just so critical. And here's like a quick example of why. So we're one of the districts that's losing state aid under the new school funding formula S2. And that's a result of a formula that no one really truly understands, but it's something to do with enrollment and a few other pieces. So we were set to lose, I think, over $400,000 or $500,000 over 7 years in funding from the state. And for a district like us, that's a game changer. It would completely change the way that CPS operates. So that's a major problem. But one of the things that's happened over the last 10, 15, 20 years is that CPS has always kind of invested in the district. So what that did is as our enrollment decreased a little bit from the high of, I think it was up to the high fives, now we're down to the 440 or 430. There was just very minimal cuts to services and programs. And what happened is we did more. We had better class size. We had more program offerings. And when the opportunity to partner with Lebanon Borough came up, they looked at every single aspect of the school in the feasibility study. They looked at our class size. They looked at our program offerings. They looked at every single part of the school, and they said, you know what, that school is as good or as better as the other district. And therefore said to Lebanon Borough, you can take your 7th and 8th graders and go there. This school is good enough. Had we not continued to invest, I'm not sure we'd be in that same situation. And I'm sure that the state aid cuts would be devastating for our district. So it's all good timing. What we're doing now is what the district has done for years, continue to invest in itself, to grow, to be better, and to be the best possible district that we can be. And part of that is the facility. So we're excited about the project. I know the kids are going to be excited. They're going to play a role in the selection of some of the equipment. And I just wanted to, thank you for giving us the opportunity to let you know what's going on the other side of the hill, and answer any questions if you had any.
So let me just, before you, just to talk to the Lebanon Borough, do you have
Sure.
just the 8th graders, or you have just the 7th graders?
Right now, we have just the 7th graders, and next year will be their 7th and 8th graders.
Which, by the way, when I was at Clinton Public, we had Lebanon Borough attending, so it's nice to see it all come back. And then just to kind of talk through, because this is going to be a special election.
Correct.
The reason you couldn't make it happen with the November election was you were trying to deal with opening school under COVID, and the timing just didn't work. That was the only reason that was delayed?
That's correct, yeah. We've been in complete reaction mode for the last 20 months.
Right.
School. And this is actually something that we're kind of looking forward. But yeah, we weren't able to get it together for November for the election. So hence the January one. And again, the playground needs to be, the timing is critical too. Needs to happen.
If I could just
Sure.
add, and also the state of New Jersey, that they had the red tape with people retiring, approving the process.
Right.
So it wouldn't have worked out, with the timing of how for the November. So we chose that, in January, also in the timing of when it's approved, we can start the site work,
Correct.
in the spring.
Yeah.
Right, for people to understand, that has to be submitted by August to be on ballot for
Right.
November, so.
Yeah,
For the public to understand, it's not like, oh, you can decide in October to have it on the ballot in November. It has to be submitted by August, so it is a
Yeah,
process.
the timeline was short.
Yeah.
Mr.
Just some questions. So what is the yearly amount for the expiring debt?
It was like $130,000 per year.
140.
140.
And then
40, and what will be the new debt?
I think it's 111,
110.
110.
110, okay. And this is a set amount?
Yes.
Okay.
And
That'd be-
again, it would be based on the borrowing rate and, once that we talk to our advisor, but that's the estimate.
And what is the matching grant? Is it a matching grant or it's just a grant? What's the amount?
There's no grant. It's the state aid, you mean?
Yeah, state aid.
The state, yeah,
40%.
40% of the entire project.
Okay.
So it's like 985, it's the entire project, so 40% of that.
And how long would the bond be?
I think it's 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Is the board paying for the special election, or is?
Yes.
Okay.
The board is paying for it.
But also Kingwood,
Yeah.
it's a shared.
Yeah, there's two special elections going on in January. So whenever there's a special election, each district pays their part of the total cost. So 2 districts are going out to a special
So there are
election.
shared costs that we can kind of alleviate. So it actually get cost from 10 to about 5.
Yeah.
Because we're sharing with Kingwood.
So what is that? So it's, you'll have polls open in Glen Gardner here in Lebanon?
Not Lebanon, but Glen Gardner and Clinton.
Okay.
And we'll be speaking to Glen Gardner, I think, we're gonna speak to them next
And
week.
is it just the 3 to 8, or is it the full day
For the polls,
for the polls?
I'm not
No,
100%
I'm not
sure.
sure.
Because I know
I can get back to you.
school elections used to be 3 to 8?
Yeah,
I think they weren't a full day.
I have to get back to you, I'm sorry.
We'll probably have to check.
No, that's fine.
Yep.
Iceal will probably know when she gets back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanna, thank you for coming, because we've been getting a lot of questions.
Sure.
Because when it comes to elections, people naturally shift
Sure.
over to us and ask us, so I appreciate it. And as you know, we work on the same, we're working on the community
Yeah.
playground park now, whole entire project, and what kind of started the project was the playground and the accessibility, and knowing that there are children that live in our community that can't access the playground. And I'm sure as, educators and people on the board, that, that's difficult to see like our kids at school and be like, sorry, you can't go on that right now. So I applaud you for doing it. And it's not surprising that it's gonna cost about $1 million. We get that.
Not at all.
I mean,
And-
we totally understand it. So
Yeah,
it's,
it's a big project.
And it's gonna benefit the kids of this community, and it's very exciting, and I'm looking forward to the collaboration and discussing, the specifics once you get that
Sure,
far.
yeah.
About the different equipment, so that we don't have overlap between
Absolutely.
the two parts, and then it just benefits the kids twofold.
That's right, yeah, no, it's gonna be a special project, it really is.
And thank you
What-
for taking the time to talk to me on
Oh,
Friday, I really
yeah,
my
appreciate it.
pleasure.
Well, what efforts will be made to make sure that the entire voting population is aware of the election?
Sure, so we're here tonight, we have a communication going home to the school community, I think we've missed the deadline for the newsletter for
We did.
the town yet. We're going to Glen Gardner as well. We'll have a board meeting, public board of education meeting on the 22nd. And another board meeting on January 3rd or 4th. So all of our public meetings will be opportunities for people to log on to the website to watch and to
If you
listen
wanna
and
do
ask
an
any
email
questions.
that we can send out through our email blast, we can do that for you as
Okay,
well.
all right, that's
So we
great,
can,
thank you.
I'm thinking we could put it on the website.
Yep.
Okay, great.
And do an email blast. That still doesn't get to everybody.
Okay.
If I recommend a mailing, we have addresses for all the residents in Clinton
Okay,
that we can access. I mean, you'd have to pay for the mailing,
Sure.
but we can at least provide
okay,
that.
I appreciate that.
But also you'll need that from Glen Gardner, so maybe you reach out so you can mail it to them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we get dinged for lack of transparency sometimes, and I don't wanna see you guys in the
Sure.
same boat. I think, we don't wanna give the impression that anything sneaky or
Yeah.
underhanded is being dealt out to the public, so the more communication you can get out there and make everybody aware.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah, for us, it came down to a pretty simple, we have to do it, we have to replace the playground, and if we can get 40% of the project paid for by going this route, while I understand there's tentacles to a referendum, I feel like we almost had to go this path, because it's an expensive project, and it's, even, again, it's staggering how much some of these things can be, but we also use that bottom field for evacuation drills, for different things. And it's people walking down the grass hill. There's certain areas that are paved, but not the whole thing. So it's time. I mean, the ramp, if you look at the map, we're gonna be able to plow the path that goes around. So the kids will be out there all winter as much as they can be where they aren't now, so, and it's scalable. We've got areas where you can put fitness equipment. You've got areas to put individual standalone pieces of equipment. And when people, when they come to look at the town and they come to look at the school, they're gonna love it.
Right.
And it's gonna be a really nice thing for everyone. And our kids absolutely need to be outside. They're not every school gives their middle school kids recess every day, but we do. They're outside every single day, so our equipment really does get used.
Right, agreed. Any other questions from council? If not, I'll open it to the public.
Just real quick on the drawing that you gave us, everything in black is what will be updated, and if it's, so like the basketball court, does that,
Yeah, we're gonna be repaving. We're repaving the basketball court.
and the original like concrete walkway down to the ball field?
That's being removed.
Oh.
So we're putting in a new vehicle access path. It's similar to the concrete, but yes, the old
That was my
concrete
question.
path is being removed.
Okay.
And then the ADA compliant ramp is on the side of the playground. And if you know that area, it's about a 7 or 8 foot
Yeah.
hill.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to cut into the hill, come around. So we're actually gonna have to come to the land use board in January. We sent an email, the architect did, to talk about that, because we're disturbing more than, I think, 5,000 square feet. So the Department of Ed needs some kind of information, but yeah. So yeah, that'll be there. And then, they're listed here as the gazebo. That's kind of sort of where the, new little piece of equipment that we purchased, but that area will be worked on, and we're trying to tie in also with, some of the American Recovery Plan money, if there's things that we can't do in this, because that does qualify for some of those grants.
Right.
For an outdoor
Which
classroom.
age ranges, so I know the age ranges of the school, but I
Right.
know that the playground now has like the littler kids playground and the
Right.
bigger kids playground, is that the same type of model you're gonna follow?
Yeah. When they're 5, they're really,
I know, like that twisty one.
I know, yeah, so, yeah, everything is 5 to 12 at least, but there will be some preschool stuff
Great.
on the playground as well.
When it comes to communication, just thinking back to that, with the special election, does it get sent out like to the county clerk's office, like a sample ballot per se?
Very good question.
Because that would be something to figure out, I mean, that's
Yeah. I'm
not the
assuming it
greatest level
has
of
to.
notification, but that's
Right.
something so
Right.
people can actually
Yeah.
get it.
I'm assuming it has to, but again,
Yeah, and I don't know the timing of that, how soon that gets sent out, Is it similar to general
Yeah,
election.
And also, have you set up a page, which discusses the referendum?
We will, now that this is all crystallized now, it will be on the website.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll make sure that you have my email. You are right.
I do, yes.
But
Yeah.
make sure I have it, because as soon as it's
Certainly.
ready, I want to make sure there's communications. Remember, we're going to be putting out a disclaimer on it that we're not supporting it, or we're not supporting it.
Correct.
right,
Just getting information.
That's
Just
right.
informational.
And just like we're not asking people to vote yes, we're just asking people to vote and inform.
My last question is about in the resolution, it says the project, and I know we spoke about this.
Yep.
Do we know if there's any way to change that on the referendum to the playground or the
I-
playground project? Because the project can be very, for somebody that doesn't know what's going on, don't have kids in the school,
I
may
think-
not know.
We had to submit the language already, is that correct?
No,
but you
the,
submit a description,
Yeah.
Is there a
the
description?
council will be
there
preparing
has to be.
the word.
Well, yeah, but-
Translated version per se,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I think that there is, the wording that has to be, in place, but then at the same time, there has to be a little flexibility. So, in some of the funding that, that is allocated, to playground, to the grading, and again, in support of the whole, project.
Oh,
Not just the
Yeah.
playground.
I
it's
understand,
the
I
overall
understand.
But
project.
so the thing is that, the bond council, will be coming up with the wording, based on.
But you're
The wording of the
suggesting.
so in other words, what I meant is the
Yeah.
word, I don't mean to cut you off, but the wording, when they do referendums, they have the language that hardly anybody understands.
Right.
And then
the
underneath
statement.
it, they have the statement.
Mhm.
So as long as it appears somewhere in the statement that it's, to the playground,
Also
the field, or
playground.
just,
So
just so
we'll-
that people will really grasp what it is.
Yeah, that's fine, I appreciate that, yeah.
Thank you.
So.
Dr. Bowen, one last question.
Sure.
It says a clay in the infield. Are you redoing the baseball fields in part of this or?
No,
Okay.
that was just for reference, that's where the
The
softball
current
field is
softball
now, yeah,
field is-
trying to-
We're working on that project for you
Right.
guys on Hunts
Yeah.
Mills, so we're great.
yes,
That piece for softball, baseball for CPS.
Right.
In Hunts Mills.
Right.
That's on there.
yeah, no, that's just kind of the existing.
I just wanted to be like,
Yeah.
well, if that's the
Yeah,
case,
if
like
that's the
you can
case.
save some money over
Yeah,
there.
come to the
we'll
play,
push it
no,
over here.
that's, yeah,
Are there gonna be lights?
no. But we are gonna run a conduit for electric for the gazebo area where we're, there could be lights for that at some point.
For
So we're-
events.
Yeah, so we're running the electric, but we're running the conduit, but not the electric yet.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone from the public have questions?
Well, I just had a comment that,
You just, I'm sorry,
Name
name
and
and address for the record.
I'm Don Thompson, I live in 12 Redford Court. If I'm a typical, resident, you're telling me that within a month, we're gonna have a referendum and a school election and a referendum for a bond issue for $1 million. I know nothing about this. The council has sort of indicated that or asked about how you're gonna publicize this.
Sure.
I think that's pretty crucial, like now, if I'm typical, I didn't know nothing about this, and I assume many of our residents don't know anything about it.
We'll be sure to
It's
say.
very sudden and very, immediate. Just a plea
Okay.
that you get some information out.
Yes, understood.
Yeah,
But
can
we've been,
we commit to some timing so that,
well, no, we talked about the last 3 Board of Education meetings, which have been public, which have been zoomed out to everyone that wants to watch.
Yeah, they publicized that, are they, the minutes released?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The agenda's out
I
there.
just didn't know.
Yeah, the agenda's out there, the minutes are out there, it's all, it's, you know, but again, we haven't been throwing it out in people's faces to, you know, but.
the difficulty, and Ross and I have been dealing with this a lot.
Yeah.
With our older community, where they're not connected electronically.
Yeah.
You know, they're not on social media. Some of them are not connected via email.
Sure.
So they're not connected like that, and we need to make sure that we get all of their attention, get it in timely fashion. That's why I'm asking if we could set a timeline out loud in public so that we can, you know, commit to it and execute it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that it's not a tax increase is in your favor, so.
Absolutely.
You should want to get that out there.
Yeah, so we'll talk.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Dave Wyant, 78 Center Street. Just a quick question.
Sure.
The facilities are available to the public?
Whenever schools,
School hours?
yeah, correct, whenever school's not in session, so. Yeah, so.
Are you gonna go up there, Mr. Wyant?
Well, I think a lot of people take their grandkids
Yeah,
and they're looking for a place.
I'm just teasing you.
I don't.
I know you wanna go up there and hang out on them.
I take the dog up there sometimes.
That'll be open for everyone.
Any other questions?
Is there any questions on Zoom?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Anyone on Zoom?
Yeah, well.
Is there anyone on Zoom, who's there virtually, who has any questions for Dr. Cohen? Just raise your hand.
Raise your hand.
Going once? Going twice?
No?
No?
No questions.
How many people are on Zoom?
We have 5.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you
I
very
do
much.
appreciate, yeah, and then we'll connect, Mr. Humphries, perhaps tomorrow, or then, are you available?
If you could say, can you stay till after the meeting, and we could talk after that, or do you have to go?
That's a lie.
Yeah.
Could be. No, we can talk, we can talk.
For an hour drive.
Yeah, we can talk.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next is resolution 163-21, and this is the release of escrow funds in the amount of $98.45. Can I have a motion?
I move.
Second. Roll call.
Ms. Denine? Yes. Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
Ms. Interpartola?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Trennigan?
Yes.
Mayor Kovach?
Yes. Next is resolution 164-21, and this is approving a water capacity transfer. Let me get a motion and a second, and then I'll let the attorney explain. So I can have a motion.
Second. So this is a water allocation that was held by a company called Kerwin Savage for a project in Clinton Township that they refer to as the Alton Place Project. It's part of Clinton Township's affordable housing plan. As part of Clinton Township's affordable housing plan, they have set forth a priority list of their projects, 1 through 4. Their top 2 priorities have got water allocation. The bottom 2 priorities, this project is number 4, number 3 is another project known as Headley Farms. And essentially Headley Farms came in and said, hey, we're number 3 on the list. Why did the Kerwin Savage project get the water? So to sort of solve this problem and get the town out of it, we recommended that the township ask the court to allow the township to just hold this water allocation. And then the township can give out the water as it sees fit, you know, under its priority listing.
Whichever project happens.
Whichever project happens first, and it takes the town out of it, because if the town just intakes water allocation applications. We're not involved in how the township monitors and decides on which affordable housing projects should be built. So
Which property is this?
The Kerwin Savage property is the Alton Place next to our,
Next to Mountain View?
yes,
And then Headley Farms is,
top up Annandale, up behind the homes.
So, we've already approved,
I'm
sewer.
pointing like everyone knows. what
no,
I'm doing.
sewer comes from CTSA, we have nothing to do with their sewer capacities, because that's from the Clinton Township Sewerage Authority.
I'm just,
Yeah.
forgive me for asking, just
Oh,
asking,
it's okay.
has that been approved to that property? Do we know?
I do not think so.
I don't know.
So this is, our ordinances allow, because by law, we're required to give some sort of priority to affordable housing projects in handing out water capacity. And the only way we could figure to do that was to say that affordable housing projects can come in before they get site plan approval, that they can almost cut the line by coming in just by nature of being in the affordable housing plan. Whereas most projects need to have site plan approval, and to have site plan approval, you need to have at least showing that you can get sewer capacity.
Well, okay, I'm bringing this up partly because, there were a lot of discussions with the residents on Mountain View. And, they wanted to know from council, when that property, that particular property, which, runs the entire length of the east side of that, of the Mountain View area. They wanted to have at least notice of both sewer and water. That was something that was discussed when the property was first purchased and it was, brought up by, the developer as a possible development.
Well, they're
So
going
so forgive me, I'm just saying this because this is something that I think, me personally, want to make sure that the public in that area knows of this before we go and,
We already gave the water to Kerwin Savage.
This is, the court has told us we have to let the township hold it. This project does not have site plan approval yet, so if water and sewer infrastructure is going to be physically run to that property, it will be part of the site plan approval, and so the residents within 200 feet of the property would get notice when they apply for site plan approval. This is just earmarking the water for the project.
We
And,
did it last year.
and the same thing, the CTSA would have to, if they applied for sewer allocation, to earmark the sewer for them, but before they even get permission to put a shovel in the ground, they will have to go before Clinton Township for site plan approval. And residents within 200 feet of the property will get notice, even if they live in the town. Now, they have to give notice across borders too. So if there's town residents that live within 200 feet of the property, they will get notice of the application.
So the water's being removed from Kerwin Savage and handed over to Clinton Township to hold and reserve. To allocate however they determine they're going to allocate the water.
Right, it's not even allocated to a project, it's taking it away from a project.
It's allocated to affordable housing in the township of Clinton.
Right.
Yeah.
okay,
So,
But yeah, I mean, I guess if you have any questions, you can assure, before pipes get run up to that property, there will have to be site plan approval. You know, there will-
lots of
yeah.
conversations that are gonna take place before that. But as far as I know, they've not assigned sewer to any of those projects yet.
fix the sewer.
That's another whole discussion. We're working on that one. Anybody else have any questions? Any comment or questions from the public? Anyone on Zoom have any questions? Just wanna make sure this one is not confused. All right, we've got a motion and a second. Do we have to do a roll call on this?
I would just do a roll call on
Okay.
this, just.
Roll call?
Ms. Denine,
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey,
Yes,
Mrs. DeBartolo,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Traffhagen,
Yes.
Mayor Kovach.
Yes. All right,
And then the next resolution is going to be tabled until January.
so resolution 165-21, which is granting a water allocation, and transferring the allocation to Clinton Township based on a different project is on hold until the water committee and, engineer finish reviewing and historics drop off. Sorry, the words aren't coming.
Yeah, what we realized is getting closer, this allocation application came in, and what we realized getting closer and closer to the end of the year, DEP sort of plays with our numbers a little bit and lets us retire, what they call retire peaks of projects where we allocated water based on an estimate. They let us allocate the water now based on what they're actually using. And we just realized it didn't make sense to grant a large water allocation without knowing what our retired peaks are, so that we can really give an accurate count of what water we have available after the first of the year. So this will be on the first January agenda.
Okay.
And then when we tell people how much water we have available, it'll be an accurate count of what we have available.
Yes. So, that's next. Next is the public hearing for ordinance 21-22. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Any discussion? So you have you had your revised ordinance in the folder, which addressed all of the questions. There was a new version because there were some questions raised, some additional questions raised by a resident that were addressed by Tara.
And I think what we'll have to do is, because these changes are substantial enough where they don't change the entire intent of the ordinance, but they really clarify some things pretty nicely. So what we're going to do is consider it amended after this hearing, and then we have to republish it and put it back on the agenda at the December meeting. The laws do provide for that, that if you have to amend something at the public hearing after hearing some good public input, you can do that. We just have to republish it and then have I call it a mini public hearing at the next meeting. It's really just, you read it by title and you have a hearing on the changes made. So the big, the changes we made were, as part of the application, a property owner can, if they desire, submit a statement justifying their reason for demolition, why they think my house really does not contribute to the historic district, or why this demolition is necessary, or how, if they have any proposals on how to mitigate any adverse impact on the historic district with the demolition, how they're proposing to mitigate that, whatever it may be with,
That was the additional.
That was, yeah,
that was
one
the
additional-
ordinance that we, the last
Yeah.
version of the ordinance we saw.
Yeah. Again, we also stated specifically that the historic commission has to take into account any special reasons that the property owner has for demolishing the property. Again, that's up to the property owner, but I can see some, if someone says, listen, my house is completely infested with termites and it's falling down, that, the historic commission will take that into consideration. And then we also clarified the section that talked about someone intentionally damaging the property in order to avoid sending it before the historic commission for review. We put in there that anything that you've gotten a lawful permit to do to your property will not be considered an attempt to damage, get around the requirements of the statute. And also made it explicit that it is just the exterior of the structure. The town of Clinton has a historic district, which is the only outside of the houses that are the contributing factors to the historic district. The inside of your houses, you can do purple zebra print and it does not detract from the historic district. Yeah. Okay.
This also put a cap on, it does not cost any additional, it
No,
doesn't cost for the residents.
Right, because now it is a review by the historic commission.
And it's a review, they don't make the final call.
Right,
By the,
the construction official
Yes.
ultimately makes the final decision. And then it also provides that, so we did have a provision in there that if you are going to demolish a property that the historic commission thinks has some sort of historic value, we did provide in there that, we would like you to contact them so that if desired, the historic commission can preserve some things from the house, but we clarified that that's completely voluntary. It won't delay a demolition, but we like that. I think it's a heads up that, if the historic commission says, well, you had this, I don't know, architecture,
banister,
Weinstein, is
I don't
anything?
know,
Something that they would like to save on the
Isn't
property.
there's the outside finials and.
Yeah. Ross, throw out some architecture.
There you go, you're good, you're good.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions? Let me do the audience here and then we'll do the audience. Anyone in the audience here have any questions? Yes.
Kyle Perloff, 28 West Main, just so I think you guys picked up on it by now, but that ordinance is about the historic demolition review process of any demolition of any historic house within the historic district of Clinton.
There are 277 historic structures in the town as designated by the state and federal.
If your structure is
Does that
not
include
one of
the
those-
community center?
No,
No, nothing in that property is within the historic district.
Except the.
Grandstand.
The grandstand is.
The grandstand is not the historic
That is not
district,
within
the
the
grandstand is deemed historic.
Correct.
Because not, and it's not the grandstand itself, it's the history of who played on the field, really is the big thing, which makes the grandstand historic. Cause we redid the grandstand. It's not the original grandstand.
My only comment would be is if people get hung up on it, I'm also the sitting chair of the Historic Commission at the moment. I don't think it's the Historic Commission's intent to validate the necessity of demolition, right? It's great, it's extra information for us to chew on, fantastic. If that becomes an issue for the group, I don't think that's a concern of historic. If it gets through construction where they say demolition is deemed necessary, we're not going to try to override that, right?
Right, the ordinance is specific that, the construction official's decision is final, that the construction official can take into account the historic commission's discussions, but ultimately the construction official has the,
Final say.
has the authority to, decide on whether a demolition permit should be issued.
And so I guess just for clarity's sake, right, it's not a permission of demolition from the Historic Commission, it's simply our opinion and review to add value to the project, hopefully add value to the project and educate the owners a little bit more than maybe they were prior to the review, and they can make a more holistic decision.
Sounds good.
Sorry for the interruption.
Nope, that's fine. On Zoom
Is there anyone online?
with questions
You can raise your hand?
or start talking?
No, because they're all,
No,
well, they've muted themselves, so I don't know.
no one? Going once, going twice? All right,
I just have a quick question if I can.
sure.
Dave Warren, 78 Center. Would this apply in the case of partial demolition or window replacement, or it's just a complete tear down, right?
It's a,
So,
it's anything the construction official deems a demolition, so under the International Construction Code that New Jersey adopts, there's different definitions, so pretty much it's almost full, to be considered demolition, get a demolition permit, it's almost a full demolition. Now, if you're ripping off half of your house and replacing it, that's actually considered rehabilitation and not demolition and wouldn't fall under this. This is if you're pretty much completely tearing down.
So the
Yes.
house up at the top of Halsted with all the copper and everything on it now,
Mhm.
that would not have been considered a demolition. That was a rehabilitation.
good. Thank you.
I'll just briefly add the kind of backstory logic to it was looking at, particularly as there's a lot of development going on around us these days and looking at a number of communities within the kind of region, particularly Westfield is one brought up before, where they've lost a number of historic buildings in kind of because of a lot of development coming in, developers coming in, buying a number of historic homes, building a number of larger buildings and so forth. So looking at trying to say, what's one step that we can provide as kind of a review process? So if that happens, someone's coming to try and do that, gives historic the opportunity to look at that, be a part of that review process and hopefully prevent something like that from happening.
I know in West Cape May, we felt like it's been very helpful to have the feedback from
The commission.
Right. Yep.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 21-22 with a amended public hearing on December 22nd for the changes that we made?
And I will email Seal the instructions on what she needs to do as part of.
Actually, you're gonna email to Nancy.
Oh, Nancy.
Nancy's not gonna be here until next week.
Right.
Okay, can I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call. Sorry.
Ms. Dean,
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey,
Yes.
Ms. Partola,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Trevelyan,
Yes.
and Mayor Kovac.
Yes. Next is the public hearing for ordinance 21-24, and this is the checklist for land use board. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Any discussion? So for those of you, and for the checklist is what anyone coming to the land use board will go through, so they know exactly what they need to provide to the land use board or to the zoning officer for any project that they want reviewed, or if they want it, to be able to waive site plan. So there's an entire check, we put it all in one place, so it's not a matter of someone's gotta go and look in multiple locations. Depending on what you wanna do, you go right to this checklist, it's all right there. Anybody have any questions?
And Seal and I double and triple checked that the.
It made it to the paper.
The lady at the newspaper now thinks I'm crazy, because I think I emailed her 10 times.
Don't worry about it.
We have had issues with the paper publishing our ordinances so that they become legitimate ordinances and not causing problems, so.
And that's because the person at the paper is also writing all the stories, and doing
I know.
the classified ads, and is the publisher probably, so.
Any questions from anyone? Anyone on Zoom that has any questions?
Doesn't have to,
No.
crowd.
Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 21-24?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Denise?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
Ms. Bartola?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Tretton?
Yes.
Mayor Kovac?
Yes. All right, next is the public hearing for ordinance 21-25, and this is our salary ordinance. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll move.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Just to give everyone background, this is something that we do every couple of years to make sure that all of our employees are within a salary range. It's not giving anyone anything, it's just creating the ranges for each of the titles within the offices of finance, clerk, tax assessor, DPW, police, all along. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Do you actually pay anybody $6 an hour?
No.
I wonder if on the ordinance, why the range would not start at minimum wage or whatever the lowest wage is.
That is a good question. Kathy unfortunately is not here. So, do you have any?
I don't know, the only thing I can think of is sometimes seasonal employees. You're allowed to,
It is for seasonal.
yeah,
And clerical.
a lot of seasonal employees get paid.
We've never paid, we don't pay anyone. We pay at least minimum.
That
if
might
not
be to
more.
cover for like summer rec, which is
Oh.
seasonal.
It could be just for summer rec.
Do you pay summer rec people?
We haven't paid summer rec in 2 years.
Right.
Those
But if you
they
got-
were all at, they were all at what minimum wage was.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and then some of it is a standby hourly rate, so it's paying people to not actually be here and working, it's,
That one I understand.
yeah, but I see what you're talking, the low ones. Yeah, a lot of these
Can we
be-
modify? Actually, I don't wanna modify with
Seasonal.
Kathy, without Kathy's.
As long, I mean, to be honest, as long as the upper range
Is fine.
is okay, I mean, obviously, we will have to, if we have to abide by state law as to minimum wage, we will be abiding by that, but I think the lower range is set for if any of these would be.
And we've
If
never
the
really-
minimum wage changes, do we have to revise the ordinance by vote?
You would revise the ordinance, but I mean, obviously, you would never violate state law, and so even if it's, you know, if the minimum wage were to go above what your top range is, you'd obviously pay the minimum wage if you're required.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Would it make sense to instead of have a low end, to have it state mandated minimum wage on those areas?
It's hard to speak to it because Kathy's not here.
Yeah, Kathy's the one that should talk
She
to.
would just arbitrarily.
Yeah, and there is language in here that is, if it's contrary to a court decision or state law, that state law and a court decision trump what's in our ordinance.
I make $1.14 an hour.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
That's gonna make the minimum.
Nice.
We figured that out the other
Does that
day.
include trash collection?
Yes, it basically is, you know,
That's the walking around line, though.
oh, is that what that is?
Oh.
Oh, okay. All right,
Yeah, but we'll also clarify that with Kathy to make sure that what I'm saying is true, but that's what I suspect all of this is.
anyone else have any questions?
Is this something then you think that we should table to the next meeting?
I don't think so, and
We need
Just
to,
asking.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
okay,
I think you're good to pass it.
all right,
But we'll just, just for everyone's education, including my own, we'll ask Kathy.
yes. Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much for that question.
Anybody online? Is there anybody online? Any questions?
On the line,
Anybody? We want to hear from somebody.
they'll just walk away.
No, I think there's a good TV. It's
There's no game on today. All right, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 21-25?
Second.
Roll call, please. Ms. Denine?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
Ms. Interpartola?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Trattain?
Yes.
Mayor Kovac?
Yes. All right, can I have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 21-26?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right. Discussion, any questions? Anyone from the audience have any questions?
Do you wanna say what it is for those who are?
Yeah,
This is, so we have, the purpose is to fund, I'll just read the purpose here. To fund preliminary expenses, in connection with the construction of an addition to the police department building or the construction of another structure as described in bond ordinance 21-18, adopted June 23, including all related costs and expenditures incidental thereto. So we initially bonded, we initially did an ordinance for $200,000 for the architect. What we've done is a supplemental 125 to add to the 200 that we've already done. Not to spend it all, but to give us that range should we need. The architect is 250,000, and that's the soup to nuts. They come in, they do all of the analysis, the drawings, the public hearings, permits, everything that needs to be done. So that would be their cost. The supplemental is if there are any incidentals that we wind up incurring, such as permits, or if we have to go and do any sort of remediation on any of the properties. This would allow us to have that money available should we need it. Yes,
I have a question.
okay, I have an answer.
As a result of Monday's meeting, have you had any discussions or have any thoughts about the direction that you're going to take?
So mention was made of the TD Bank building, which the chief and I and the architect are gonna take a look at to see if that is feasible. The Agway building is not feasible. It is in the floodplain. It went to tax sale. It is a redevelopment, but because it went to tax sale and the lien was purchased, the likelihood of us being able to do anything with that property, I don't know what the owner's intentions are. The lien holder has in 2 years, if it's not redeemed, can foreclose on the property. There's remediation issues with the property because of it having been an agway and all of the chemicals that were stored there. So I believe there's only been a phase 1 done. There probably needs to be a phase 2 through DEP. So even if the town were to consider, and when we did our redevelopment, we determined it to be a non-condemnation redevelopment zone. Even if we were to go down the road of a condemnation, we would have to pull back the redevelopment, redo the redevelopment with a condemnation, and then you're looking at a multi-year process to deal with eminent domain and condemnation of the property.
And also redo our affordable housing plan.
Yeah, and redo our affordable housing.
Where?
That,
So,
that property is part of our settlement with the courts. It is, the music hall is supposed to have 10 units on it, and the Agway property is supposed to have 75.
yes.
I was gonna say 72, it's close.
No, 75 because it gets us to 15.
Right.
So that is, it's not feasible for us to even look at the Agway as a potential. And I, as I said, Monday night, the property owner turned down a significant, before he went to tax sale, turned down a significant offer for that property. So,
So I'm not thinking that, I guess I'm concerned that we're putting the cart before the horse. And I don't want to, I know that there's been a lot of work that's gone on, even before we got to this point. And I'm not second guessing all of those decisions. But this does sort of beg the question, do we need a police force that's the size of the police force that we have for a town of 3,000? And I would start there, and then if we're convinced that we need, you know, a police force, which I think is probably suitable for a town that's twice our size, do we need to create a, for lack of a better word, and I know this is a bit pejorative, but a Taj Mahal,
right.
To house officers that should be, in my mind, on the street.
So a couple of answers, and I'm
No
gonna,
offense,
and I will turn to the chief as well. And we talked a lot about this on Monday evening. Keep in mind, you're going to have 300 new housing units in town in the next couple of years. We have been understaffed for a number of years. And when the chief came in, we looked at the staffing. They work on, and I'm gonna butcher this, so I am gonna turn to the chief, but we work on the Pittman schedule. They're 12 hours on, 12 hours off. The amount of activity that takes place that the officers respond to, most people don't even begin to say. I mean, we look at the numbers, we get the report from the chief as far as the number of calls, but you have a major highway, interstate, you've got 31, 22, and then you've got, local roads that they're dealing with, the county roads. So Chief, I'll let you kind of talk to the size and the staffing like you did on Monday night.
Okay.
So that I don't make it a mess.
You're doing fine. We've grown the department, more or less steadily. Back in 97, 98, when I started, actually, I was a replacement of an officer, and we had 8. And by 2000, 2001, we went up to 10. So for the past at least 20 years, we've been stuck at 10 officers. And our responsibilities and the way the town has grown and what they've requested for us to do throughout the town has put a tremendous amount of strain on the department. In addition to that, the state on what they make us have to do as far as training, that alone has reduced the amount of time each individual officer spends on the road just because of mandatory agency trainings, such as additional use of force. That's a big thing you see in the world right now. They want a use of force. Our use of force that they just redid was in place since 1997, and it was still superior to most of what the country had. So what a lot of the country's looking at going to, New Jersey's been that way since 1997. Now we're going another level above that, which, took a 4-hour, twice a year annual training to now be a 2-day off the street, plus additional trainings, another 8 hours on top of that, broken up. So there's 8 hours now basically is 24 hours, just for that one topic. Then throw in domestic violence, CPR, radar recertifications, alcohol recertifications, firearms, rifles, shotgun, less lethal certifications, biohazard, hazmat, practically everything you could possibly think of in the emergency services world, we have to be recertified every so often. And then we have all of our specialized training that the officers have to have, because we have to meet certain requirements to take care of our own equipment. Now, what we've done is we've done a lot of training inside the department, instructor level wise. I'm practically an instructor for most things in the department. Now, I don't have the time to do that all the time, although I fill in for the officers because we're short, and COVID has allowed us to train a lot of our new officers, since 50% of our new officers are less than 2 years on. They can't even go to some trainings, they don't have the experience and time, and they need prerequisite courses to get there. So training is the mandates is really got to be quite stringent. Not to mention just our random drug testing. Now it's mandatory, we have to pay for it. We have to allot the time. I have to have my detectives go to Newark and Trenton to transfer stuff. So the amount of, tasks that's been placed on the police department, in addition, I didn't even touch on our call volume, which it's kind of hard to give you a statistical number on it, because we get better and better over the course of time of counting those statistics. Like, I'll give just as an example, 2012, 2013 went to a new CAD system, and the reporting system improved. And then we learned how to use it. So when we started it, 5,000-6,000 calls a year, and that's everything from stopping a car, initiated, self-initiated by the officer, walk-ins to headquarters, and dispatch from our communication center. As we got better over time, and we're able to use the system to capture more data, those numbers went up significantly. So it kind of gives you a bad number, say 5,000 or 6,000 in 2012, 2013. Those were actually low, and it was actually higher than that. We just weren't capturing the data. To getting into the 20,000s, and we've been steadily growing. As an example, we were at 26,000 total calls instance last year, and this year, as of I believe it was the very end of November, we're at 24,751. So we're going to be at, or most likely above, that 26,000 mark by the end of this year. So we do a lot. Every fire call, every rescue squad call, and every police call, including mental health calls, the police department goes to. We're the only 24-hour department in town, so we go to all those. And although I have less, my goal is to have 100% of our department trained in basically crisis intervention, so we can handle those mental health calls, which a lot of the world is worried about. We're trying to train the whole department in that, so we have the ability to go out and manage it, someone with a mental health disability. So we do a lot. And the mayor knows the town asks us to take care of a lot of these events, and to give that hometown feeling, it takes us, and it takes the department the time to go out and put the manpower on the street to take care of it.
Is the town asking too much of you? Is the scope too much?
Depends on what you want to happen with the town. I can remember 15 years ago when they really wanted to grow the downtown area, the commerce, and bring people in. They did that. There's a lot more people downtown. The businesses seem to be doing well, although they're trying to improve from COVID, obviously. But it took a lot of these events that the town and everyone's prepared and worked on for years. It puts a demand on the police department. But is it too much? Depends on how you really want to consider too much. It's a lot. We have a lot to do, but we're managing. The new officers we just put on obviously alleviates some of that and allows us to handle these calls a little bit better.
What percentage of your calls are, we're getting a little bit far afield, and I apologize, but it really does go back to this, I think. what percentage of the calls are, on the state highways as opposed to, in town proper? Do you know?
If I had to guess off the top of my head, 3%, maybe 2%.
Okay.
We don't
It's
know.
not significant.
I do not have the 78 is, that's for state police. That's their realm. I don't want anything to do with it. Obviously, when there's major accidents, rescue squad and fire, we go out there first because we try to help them. We want to protect them by getting some more lights out there, but as soon as the state police gets on scene, we enjoy it. We'll see you later, unless it's something catastrophic. 31 is something that we have businesses, residents off that. So our 0.6 mile of 31, we do spend time out there running radar. Because if we didn't, they would be doing, and we've caught them doing 110 miles an hour around Dead Man's Corner. So do we spend a lot of time out there? No. When we have double coverage on, maybe 2 or 3 guys, if the guys that are took care of their priorities in town, they do go out there and try and spend some time out there. But so very little. We just don't have it.
We have the November report in our folder for council, so there, it's broken out activity by zone. There were 550 calls for the downtown business area, and there are 30 listed for Route 78 for the month of November.
The 6%.
That's just for November.
For November.
And when I talk about 78 coming through town, I'm more concerned about the exits, people coming off the highway, not the people actually on the highway.
Those are the
And what adds to that are a couple of, we try not to dump everything on 78, so when an accident happens on the exit 15 ramp, and it's off the highway and it's more into town, like it happens at exit 15 and 173 or on the ramp, we take that for the state police, because we end up sitting there handling. By the time they get there, it's easier for us just to do it and get it done. And then all those 78 or those few calls that actually did, that was probably an officer chasing a car out of town onto 78, and that's where they caught him. So it kind of distorts the numbers slightly, but it's very, very minimal. We just, I don't have them out there. We don't run 78 and do any traffic enforcement unless an officer was running from jumping on 16 and going to 15 and saw a drunk driver. That's it.
Yeah,
It's too bad.
I just want to say something too, but something just a little different. Besides the size of the force, one of the reasons we're looking into this is because every OEM facility is underwater during a flood. I just want to say that one more time. It's underwater during a flood. That means the sedans, any other vehicles are unable to get in and out of the facility here during a flood. Same thing with our shelter, our emergency shelter, underwater during the flood. So we have no place to put people.
What about
Except-
the school?
It's
It's not
flooded.
considered a shelter.
No, it's flooded anyway. You can't get to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a Lee
It has
Street,
to have-
Lee Street floods, you can't get to it.
That's where
Yeah, the
cars
access.
got lost.
And
Right
not
there.
It
to,
depends which direction you're coming.
and not to.
That's flooded 278.
Yeah,
You
not
can't
to,
get up School Street. so.
not to overstep you, Corey, either, is that if you ever have been in our police department, it's not safe for our officers, nor is it safe for people who have been taken in. There's no facilities for them. People are handcuffed to bars. They have to walk through our equipment that can be damaged, and so it is a liability for our officers as well as people who are being taken in. It's not safe. Their department is the size, maybe a little bit bigger than this room. It's not a safe facility for them at this point in time. And not to mention that they don't have cleaning facilities, they don't have showers, they don't have locker rooms. We've made do with space in the municipal building to meet their needs. It's really, I see it more so also as a safety concern for our officers and those who, come into the police station or department when they've been taken in, or if there's a domestic violence or there's some kind of disagreement. There's no safe place to put people.
Anything else for Troy?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot, but, I think I think approving the bond issue is, premature until, we have a better idea of what,
The bond is allowing us to hire an architect to actually determine which location is a better location for the police department, because the police department has to move. it cannot, at this point in time, if you walk around the building, you will see police stickers on doors because they're just, you know, trying to find space for things. Our evidence room is stored in the top of the barn.
Yeah, I would say this. The bond is going to actually pay people to help us because they won't do it for free. Now, we don't have to spend the entire bond. Okay, but the bond will allow us, if needed, to go, again, from beginning to end in the process. We don't have to go to the beginning and end, but we do need to have money to have them take a look at the various properties, ideas that were brought up on Monday night, and to pursue some of this stuff. Some of those were really good ideas, and we're hoping more good ideas come up.
So why wouldn't you pay for that out of current operating expense as opposed to a capital project?
Because we don't
If
have
you
that.
don't know that you have a capital project.
Because, well, we will have to have a capital project of some sorts. Where it is to be determined, but there needs to be an improvement for the police department. You know, and if it means that there's an addition here to make do, you know, and fighting with DEP to get an additional addition on this building and figuring out how to deal with flooding so that the building can be used, because the building doesn't flood, but the parking lot does. You know, that has to be done. So we can't, there's not a need to review whether or not we need a location. We need a location, hiring the architect to make the determination which is the best location for us to do it. From a cost perspective, feasibility, you know, the whole 9 yards. The goal is to build something that's gonna suffice not just 5 years or 10 years, but much longer than that. You know, even if we get to a point, and I will tell you, the chief and I have worked towards, you know, working with other communities to create shared services within other police departments. He's talked to Franklin Township, I've talked to elected officials in Franklin Township. Right now, they're not ready to make that determination and you know, share a service, but we have a shared service program with Hampton for the crossing guards, sorry, the words again. Sorry, the Union Township, well, Union Township has state police coverage because they're grandfathered. Anyone that's got state police coverage is grandfathered. Anyone who wants state police coverage will pay for state police coverage, and all you will get is a response to a call. You will not get the community policing that we have. You will not get police officers to do traffic control for parades, to be, you know, responding to the teenagers downtown unless a call comes in.
Presence at CPS, I mean, just alone, they're up there every morning.
So
But I could foresee that you might have the same force, but have the OEM facilities at Clinton Township has a huge one. Highridge has just built.
we have to be within town limits.
We have, for what reason?
State statute, Corey?
It's our Office of Emergency Management. It's like trying to move the police department out of the confines of the jurisdictional boundaries. I mean, you'd have to talk to Tara legally, why, but.
So that would be a question for Tara.
You know, we do have, you know, I have to look it up about specifically your shelters, but we do have mandates from the State Office of Emergency Management that what we have to provide within the boundaries of the town, also within a certain distance of your residents. So that would be, you know, I don't know off the top of my head, but there are mandates from the Office of Emergency Management, and
Yeah, I mean, we can't take the police department and move it outside the
you
town.
know, it's assisted.
The Office of Emergency Management, I mean, I don't know what benefit it would be for us to be out of the town.
And I didn't know we have a county office of emergency
We do,
management.
and every town is required to have their own OEM. That's a requirement on each municipality to have that. Now, do we have what the county has? No. Your Office of Emergency Management is me and the deputy. That's it. During COVID, we brought in a couple of people to help us because we're just overwhelmed. I'm still going through the FEMA application. It's not much, but I mean, when we do, like we just had the storm, we were running around trying to help people and evacuate them. Me and the fire chief and rescue squad, and we bring them up to the shelter. Well, we used it for a shelter for the community center because we can never get our police department. So we grab whatever we can, the last minute, we lost the police car, whole brand new police car, almost only 2 years old, in flood. Unfortunately, it was a newer officer. He was getting it out, but it's a flash flood. He didn't expect it to come up that far, and he got caught.
At least you didn't lose the officer.
Nope, yeah, that's right.
I just make one more comment and then I'll let you guys carry on. But I talked to a lot of people about this idea of tearing down the community center, and first of all, everybody was surprised. And I know it's difficult to plan stuff during a pandemic, and you've probably been talking about it for a while. But a lot of people are surprised, and I haven't talked to anybody who thinks it's a good idea. So hoping that creatively, the brain trust here, we can come up with some better solution.
I think that meeting gave us a lot of different point of views.
Our goal is, we did get a lot of good feedback. Ultimately, it comes down to the cost, right? And doing it in such a way that it's not a burden, it's not burdensome to the taxpayers. So, having a look at the other building and options, we'll get some ideas. Like I said, the architect has agreed to meet us just to take a look and give us an indication of whether or not it's even feasible at that particular building, the old TD Bank building, and if it makes sense. So, if that's the case, that could be the easy resolution. And then unfortunately what happens though is that means the community center at this point in time does not get the renovations that it needs to become a more useful facility.
And
We don't get grants for the community center.
And we don't get, it becomes, it's a separate project.
It would be a complete separate.
So from that perspective, yes, we are trying to, we're trying to be responsible. I mean, I will tell you, there are towns that will not even hold a town hall meeting, that they will just make these decisions and you will see an inclusion on your tax bill. We've been trying to do as much town hall type information. And like I said, that was the very first meeting, the very beginning.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay.
It may have been the first public meeting, but obviously you've been planning this for a long time.
Not for a long
And you've
time.
allocated $250,000 for an architect. I mean, I'm not being critical, I'm just making that point.
No,
And
understood.
it was a surprise to a lot of the residents in my area that this was even being considered. Maybe I'm the ignorant one
We've
here,
only
but-
just started the discussions about it.
But
But
you've allocated 250,000 and then another 120 on an architect that you said is going to help you make the decision. Is that architect going to consider the public interest?
Yes,
How?
because that's what he does. These are.
So he'll be having public meetings with
He will,
us?
he offered to be at the meeting on Monday and we asked him not to, only because I thought it was too soon to even have those discussions.
Will he
Okay.
weigh into the Agway building?
Agway is not an option.
Agway's off the table. We just went
You
through all
made
of that.
that decision.
No,
There was multiple decisions on why that was made, when the mayor described that just
10 minutes ago.
The
I
Agway.
heard all the decisions. I heard you
That's
say
not
it's
us
off the
making those
table.
decisions. Those decisions were pretty much made for us
By
based
the
on
board.
extenuating circumstances.
Right, by
litigation that was done during affordable housing redevelopment.
And I didn't bring up that during the.
Well, I didn't hear you mention that.
No, I didn't mention at the meeting, but one, because I wanted to make sure legally I wasn't gonna be crossing any boundaries, because it is a settlement that we have within the court system, so I wanted to get clarification from the attorney before I mentioned. And
So right now, there's three sites being considered. Renovating this site, looking at the TD building, or knocking down the rec center.
correct,
And by knocking down
And-
the rec center, you do get another rec
I
center.
understand
One that has heat, air conditioning, insulation, and
I
can be
understand
rented.
that, but I was at the meeting and maybe 40 people were there, maybe 20 people spoke. I heard one person in that 20 people who perhaps suggested that the marriage of the rec center, the community center and the police station may be positive. The
But you're,
rest were
but you're
not
somebody
against
who's
it.
been around the block, am I right?
Excuse me?
You're somebody who's been around the block. This isn't your first time. What I'm saying is, you're a person who has been around.
You're an older mature gentleman.
I've been around, is what I'm
That's
saying.
what you see.
How many-
I think that's what you said.
You are somebody who knows what's
You're
going
not
on.
new to
You're not
any,
new to any of this. What I'm saying is, have you ever gone to a meeting where people show up in support of something? Or is it normally when something comes up that people come to argue that point? Typically, when something is first introduced that is new, talking about something that is going to create a large shift or change, the first several waves are people voicing opposition, and understandably so. I think it's a little bit naive, and I'm saying you're not naive, that's why I was saying you've been around the block, that you are not naive, is to think that was going to be filled with people, saying hurrah. We expected many more people to show up to have very, very strong opinions as to why they would not want that there. That building has been there for 100 years.
So you went away with a good feeling that we really need.
No, we went away with a great feeling that a lot of people were participating in a conversation, one of many conversations, and had some great ideas. The TD
I
Bank was
appreciate
not
you were
in
there,
consideration.
honestly.
Oh, of course,
That's the meaning of it.
of course.
I hope,
stay involved and you will continue to see more conversations taking place.
so what I said is correct. You have now three potential sites that you would ask your architect
Yes,
for his $250,000 to assess renovation of this site, which you've already ruled out, because you say it floods.
right. We'd have to deal with the flooding issue.
TD building, which may or may not be suitable, or knocking down the community center.
Correct. Unfortunately, there's not a
And
lot
there's
of
no other.
buildings. We can't rent property. If we were to rent an office space, we'd have to renovate to meet police needs.
Yes,
And the cost to renovate now makes it cost prohibitive to rent. We have to whatever we do, we have to purchase it. Renting an office space and trying to put a police department in the same building as the bank or the doctor's office or anything like that, the cost to the renovations to meet the needs to bring a police department up to standard.
is the cost of renovating is gonna be more than building a new building? Because
Well, we don't own a
Renting
building,
land.
so now we are, Flemington, what Flemington did, Flemington sold their building, was going to build a new building, decided to not build a new building, rented a space, and they've been paying, from what I understand,
But it was their existing police departments.
that they rented.
That they're now renting back to them. They didn't have.
They didn't have to renovate it, but it's also, they were sold it because it was falling down.
Right, that now
So they still haven't
renters
addressed the
in
issue.
they're renters and the new owner.
I don't understand that. So,
They didn't, if we rented a building,
yes.
you would have to install holding cells as well. I mean, there are requirements for a police department. That is a very, very expensive renovation to do on a building you do not own and you do not have potential control over for more than, let's say, 5 years.
And not many
Depends on your
landlords are
lease.
gonna allow,
That
many
depends on your
landlords are
lease.
gonna allow that kind of work to
Level
be
of
done,
construction.
yeah, in
I
their
understand there'll be complications, and
huge complications.
so I'm not denying you may have to buy the building rather than rent a building.
Yes,
That would be,
May well be buildings that you can buy.
and that would be more cost to taxpayers if we had to buy.
Kyle, I'm sorry, you had your hand up.
On that, yeah. Just coming back, I think, to the vote at hand, right? And I might make a presumptive comment in this question, correct me if I'm wrong. Going into the meeting on Monday, there was a quote in hand of 250K, which I imagine had some defined scope.
Yes,
Does that scope, the inclusion of TD Bank, inclusion of other sites, now change and potentially result in additional fees?
No.
And after the vote tonight, is it done? We're gonna start working with the architect tomorrow?
no, not until next year.
Sorry, but we are approving the work to begin with the architect at some point.
We're approving the money to be set aside for the architect. We have to appoint the architect
Okay.
at our meeting in January.
Okay. It's only after appointment, obviously, that they can start work. So the advisory things around like TD Bank and stuff, that's just like.
He's just coming out to do it.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And have
Oh, I'm sorry, we've got one, so, John, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. John Bedell, 76 Hunter Street. A couple of things. I'm wondering who chose the architect and who's going to be the liaison from the town to work with the architect? Is this going to be a committee of people, or who's going to be directing them, and who's going to be?
So the architect was chosen by the Buildings and Grounds Committee. The liaison, the day-to-day liaison will be Rich Phelan. Obviously, the chief is a part of it, and I will have a committee of council members who will be part of all of the discussions with the architect going forward.
Rich Phelan's going to head that up?
He's the point person as our business administrator. Obviously, the chief is the technical point person.
Absolutely, the chief's got to be involved, no question about that. But, I'm wondering, who's going to be evaluating, and it's important what questions are asked. If questions are asked leading to a specific goal, then that's all that's going to be answered. But if there's a range of questions that are asked. I walked around, I went over behind the municipal building today for about a half an hour or so, and walked around the barns and the back of the property there. We used to build floats back there for the parade. In fact, some of the floats are still up in the attic. I was looking around. I understand you have a floodplain problem there. However, the room that you're sitting in right now was constructed several feet above grade so that the water could pass through it, which it did very nicely during Ida. There's a lot of room back there.
We lost you.
Sorry? Yeah, everything went dead here. Can you hear me? Oh. Hello?
When you're talking with the architect, can we consider moving buildings and grounds?
Hello?
To different plans?
Problem with the
John,
parking lot
can you hear us
floods.
now?
I lost the feed. Can you hear me?
Can hear you. Turn your video off if you've got video on.
No, it doesn't have.
Okay.
No, it's just audio. Can I pick up where I left?
Go ahead.
Sorry?
Go
Can I
ahead.
pick up? Okay. It's cutting in and out here. I don't know why. Anyway, I walked around back there, and, the chief said the other night that he was looking for perhaps 3,200 square feet. That doesn't seem unreasonable. I've got a question. How many square feet are in the existing police department right now, roughly? You might have mentioned, chief, but I can't remember. 1,000?
850 about just on the space that we have for the police department itself, and then I have about another 450, 500 of stolen space throughout the municipal complex.
For storage.
Okay, so the office itself inside the municipal building is roughly 850 feet.
Roughly, yeah, yes.
Okay. What's running around in my mind is that that space could continue to be utilized. You're cramped right now. There's no question about it. You need more room. But you can get 2,000 square feet very easily outside, 2,500 square feet by doing some renovations back there. There's a lot of unused or underutilized space there. I walked through the buildings. I spoke with some of the guys there. They're wonderful. Our people who work there in town are just fantastic. And I was able to look around and see how the buildings are being used. And there's no question we need space back there for all the equipment, the water departments, everything. It's really. Sorry?
We lost you again, John.
Okay. When did you lose me? Am I on now? Hello?
Yeah, so we lose all of the ability to put anything there.
The barn floods, they open the doors and they let it
Let
flow
the
in the
water
door and out the
flow
other
through,
door, it
yes.
floods.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Are you back?
Am I on?
Ron?
Okay, so at any rate, 2,000 square feet is a 2-story, 25-foot by 20 structure, or, 50 by 40-foot structure. I won't go into details now, but I looked around and I saw places that a building could be constructed right there on site. And I've been involved with raising parking areas before. It's not that difficult to raise parking places for police cars, maybe 8 police cars or whatever. My point is that I would like it.
John, I have a question. I'm going to interrupt because John, I'm going to interrupt for just a second because I have a question for you. What you're talking about now still needs us to pass this bond ordinance so that we can afford an architect to talk about what you're presenting to us.
Okay, that's good. I won't go on any further about it, Mike, but let me finish.
Discuss this bond ordinance.
Yeah, I understand. You're looking for money. I'm concerned about how the money's going to be spent. I want to know.
I'm gonna interrupt, this is
It's a
Megan.
simple question.
We're not gonna be able to do anything, we can sit here all night and talk about what the police station could be and what it's gonna do and whatever, but we're hiring professionals to come in and look at these places in order to do that.
Okay,
hear
and I'll take back all my comments about what's going on behind the building, but I'm just curious who's going to charge the architects and who's going to be the liaison? Are there going to be any representatives of town? It takes some expertise to deal with professional architects, and
John, let me just interrupt here. I think from the meeting, both Corey and I agreed that there was a lot of good ideas. Rich, myself, and other council members have all been dealing with architects for other projects within the town, so we understand. The chief knows what is required based on the state mandates. Rich has been involved in all of our projects that we've done all along. The committee is not going to include town residents, but again, there will be town halls for discussions. There will be these council meetings, as they've always been, open for discussion as well. The goal with the architect is to lay out the ideas that were thrown out with the exclusion of Agway, as was explained, but to throw out the ideas and understand what costs are involved. Because keep in mind, you're looking at it from not from a municipal perspective. So we've got to meet different needs and different requirements for municipal property. So if, we look at the cost of raising the parking lot, of reducing the flooding from, all of those costs become part of it. And that may be the answer. That may be the ultimate, what we can do. But it's not going to be just a regular, you're not dealing with just an architect that's doing a home or a business addition or new building. This is specific to municipal requirements. Chief.
John, just so you know, that we interviewed, was it five different architects that I got referrals from other municipalities, chiefs of police that have municipal police building experience, specifically because there are so many different areas that have to be, they're specialized within the police department we have to meet. And that's what we picked. We picked the one that we felt was the best, and they're currently doing another police department right now, so.
And they're also local.
Yep.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Yeah, my question is just simply, what's the process going to be afterwards? And I know we're at the very early stages. I just want to be sure that all reasonable options are looked at carefully and evaluated for cost.
I took notes. We have the video from the meeting. Both the chief and I agreed that we are gonna have, the discussion. We're gonna lay out what was, what some of the ideas were and let them come back to us with some thoughts of what they think could, or should be done. And again, nothing gets done after that initial discussion and they are appointed in January. Well, as I said on Monday, we will have another town hall meeting in January. We will do it in the municipal building so I don't freeze.
I'm
But-
cold right now, just saying.
I put the heat up in here. And we'll also have it via Zoom. I mean, listen, I think I've always been open to conversations and I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. I don't have that expertise. That is, it's DEP, it's the State Office of Historic Preservation, it is, the architect making the determinations of what is in the best interest of, for the community as far as what's gonna be done reasonably at a cost that is not, exorbitant and will give us a lifetime value that is not just 5 or 10 years. Sound good? Are we losing again?
I know, he was on mute.
Works for me. I thought I got cut off. Yeah, no, I'm with you completely. I just want, I'm sure that we all want a lot of options, looked at, and I'm looking forward to glad you're doing the town meetings.
I can promise you that all of the options will be laid out.
Terrific. Thanks, Mayor.
Any other questions? Okay, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 21-26?
I'll move.
Second. Roll call?
Ms. Denine?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
Ms. Interbertola?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Trepphagen?
Yes.
Mayor Kovac?
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Great input.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't get to leave now. You gotta stay for the rest of the meeting.
She needs an audience.
We need bill paid, right? Executive session?
No, we got no executive session today.
Okay.
So, yes, you have to stay, so we have a,
We'll stay.
now you want me to rush. All right, next is introduction of ordinance 21-27. This is the water line easement. The reading will be on 12/22. It will be noticed in the newspaper. Tara will confirm it.
Can't remember her name, I should remember her name, I emailed her 20 times.
Can I have a motion to introduce ordinance 21-27?
So moved. Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right. The only correspondence is, aside from what Dr. Cohen talked about, Marianne Rodenberger has resigned as our senior rep. So can I have a motion to accept her resignation with regrets?
So moved with regrets?
Second with regrets.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you.
Do we have a replacement?
No, not yet. No, we haven't had a meeting since she put in her correspondence. That'll happen on the 17th. Yes.
And Nora Clifton would like to know who that's going to be.
Would you like to be it?
She said she doesn't want to be it. She said, not it. But-
Have her talk to me. Maybe that might change.
She said, not it. All right, reports, chief.
One thing I'll touch on is, FEMA application for COVID is still going. I'm dealing with a concrete block and that is FEMA. So they're just very difficult to work with. So, just had a meeting Tuesday, long one, and made good headway. So.
That's good, right?
To the point where I'm almost ready to push it in the direction of state OEM, which they will then, I don't know how they get it past FEMA, but whatever. So we made good progress this week, so we're getting close to hopefully being able to submit that and eventually get our reimbursement from the feds.
Sounds good, thank you. Megan?
Yes, Mayor. We had our first annual Light the Night on Sunday night, and it was a huge success. We actually ran out of luminaries Saturday
Saturday night, Sunday.
Saturday night, we were exchanging what we had to get out to people. I heard somebody on Lee Street was so excited about it, they went out and bought their own, so.
200.
There you go. I mean, the town looked really, really pretty, and I think as the years go on, it's gonna be a huge success. I wanna thank, Councilman Chophagen for trying to go out, take your pictures, trying to get drone shots, which was awesome. I think it really was nice to see the town united around an event. And it was pretty simple, so it was great. We raised about $1,500 for the Recreation Commission, which will offset some of the costs that we do for picnic, senior luncheon and those things, and we'll continue those kind of fundraisers throughout the year. We have our next holiday fund. It's a holiday light contest. So if you were following the holiday
lights.
Yeah,
Holiday light fight?
Clinton.
it could turn into
No,
that.
this
We'll
is
turn it
unifying, Mayor. It's fighting. It's on Clinton Holiday Lights is the Facebook page to like, and then you will get all of the information.
So we're asking people to take pictures of their own house, pictures of their neighbor's house, and share them with us or share them on their Facebook page. We will then post it on that page and they'll be voting, and the top 3 will earn a gift card for a town restaurant.
I believe there's 3
Categories.
categories. There is, what's the guy from the Christmas Vacation movie? Somebody help me.
Chevy Chase?
No, but
The
what's
Griswold.
The Griswold, yes.
Chase.
There's a
I know, but
Griswold.
Clark Griswold, so
Oh,
there's
Clark
the Clark Griswold one, there's, I believe a Hanukkah one, Happy Hanukkah one, and then there was, which is passed. And, there's God is on Get Out is the 3rd one.
There you go. So
Yeah.
now what Clark Griswold is, Jim?
Well,
Can't you just want minimalist?
that's right.
How about like a Victorian or historic with something?
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Well, that's a,
Little candles in my window.
I suggest
Just-
Nice
yeah.
and simple, you know?
So a lot of, again, fun things from recreation, and look as coming to 2022 of a lot of new fun events as the committee is trying to get more community events and something almost every month to do with the community, which I think is exciting. We had Councilwoman Interportola and myself had the second park meeting with the adjoining residents of Rachelport and Halsted on, was that Saturday? I
It was Saturday.
I feel like it was a
3 weeks
really,
ago, but it was Saturday.
It was Saturday.
Mhm.
It was another great conversation. A lot of new good ideas came out of that conversation as well. And so as we are doing with the police station project, we continue to have open meetings and discussion with the community, because this is going to be a really great thing. We ourselves are meeting with Game Time Friday at some point in the afternoon, I don't remember when, to do a walkthrough of the park and also get a new firm estimate on playground kind of ideas. And they'll be also giving us an estimate on tennis court tile, which was approved by Buildings and Grounds. But that being said, I have reached out to several other communities. The estimate that we had originally gotten from our engineers for the tennis court is extremely high comparatively, so.
Which was raised at the meeting, and
Which
we're
was
thankful
raised
for
at the
that.
meeting. So, it's just really hard to nail down, people because they're short-staffed and they've got projects to go. So we're trying to get a new estimate on the tennis courts. So either way, we'll be looking at some kind of renovation of the tennis courts come frost break in spring. I think so. If you think of anything, it comes back around to.
No, and just to reiterate, the meeting with Game Time is to go over square footage, what some options could be. There is no decision as to where things will be placed in any way, shape, or form, because as we all have been discussing tonight, we don't know what is happening at the community center, and so it would be ridiculous to make a decision like that until we know that information.
Correct. That's all I got. Do I have anything for sewer? Am I reporting on sewer?
Mike?
One thing, fire department met, I was at that meeting for maybe 10 minutes because of the town hall meeting, so, So I have nothing to report there, but except that I was there and they did have a meeting. So the volunteer fair, again, it's Monday, the 17th. I have received 10 organizations that already want to volunteer. We have received none from the commissions, committees, and boards for the town. So I ask that people contact their chairs and ask them to contact me so I can put them on the list and get the ball rolling. We will start getting communications out about the setup and advice about what they can do to maximize their presence. This was a really nice big event, a year and a half ago before COVID. And I think we could see an equal turnout this coming year, and I'm really excited about it. I'm just hoping that, again, we get our town committees involved in committing. And that's it there.
I would put just that, the newsletter went out.
Yes, I got it.
Right, I'm sure that today was true, that's true. Went out about a weekly. That's about it.
Okay. Sarah?
I don't have anything to report.
Sherry?
Yes, Mayor. Roads Committee, we didn't have anything on the agenda for December, so we canceled that meeting. But we will meet again on January 7th. Land Use Board met last night. We heard 2 applications. One was a minor site plan review for 37 Main Street. It was a completeness review of their application. They were deemed incomplete. They were missing some documentation, but we look forward to them getting that documentation to us in the next couple weeks and hopefully seeing them in January, or if not, February. They need a little longer to get those documents in. We also had a sign variance request from the Ingerman property, old 22 urban renewal, Ingerman development. There's like 20 million names for it. They asked to be able to put a banner sign along part of the fence to kind of advertise the property, the marketing message, how people can reach out for more information, phone number, pretty little picture, the whole bit. And that passed. So that'll go up probably in the near future. It's temporary. It'll go down when the site opens, so it won't be a permanent structure.
When the fence goes down, it goes down.
Yeah. That's it for committees. For myself, I am personally going to hand you my resignation tonight. I would like to be able to be considered as someone to fill the vacant seat for next year. I feel like I have a lot of projects I'm kind of in the middle of. There's a lot of institutional knowledge in my brain, believe it or not, at the moment, that I think would be of value to the town over the next year. So I would like to step out of this seat to be able to be considered to step into that seat. And my resignation will be effective at the end of this meeting. And that's all I have.
Lisa?
I covered everything in Councilwoman Johnson's 10-team report.
Yeah. Okay. Ross?
I think I have anything other than, I'll just do a little field update on Sunday the 19th from 1 to 3 p.m. Santa will be coming to town outside of the Santa's Workshop in the Art Museum Terrace. So if you want to get your photos with Santa, it's your
Bring our
opportunity.
pets. 1 to 3.
Say it again, 1 to 3,
1 to 3 p.m. on Sunday the 19th.
Can we bring our pets?
Is it Victorian Santa?
No, it's a
no.
traditional Santa.
Regular Santa.
Sometimes there's like that giant elf head thing that's there.
Is it, gonna be on the fire truck?
That's the fire department, they're doing that.
Yeah,
That's
separate.
different.
That's separate.
When's
That's different.
When's that?
21st and 22nd, usually when I'm putting a kid in the bath, that's when it's happening.
Hold on.
Right?
The 20th and 21st.
Oh, we know which zones of town?
Yeah, the 20th is.
It's on their Facebook.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's right.
Yeah.
And don't forget that SantaCon is on December.
And SantaCon's on the 18th.
Yes.
Everyone's gonna run with us?
I can't even
I'm
walk
running.
right now. I'll cheer. I'll
Yeah.
get some water.
I am.
Lisa and I will meet you.
Okay.
Lisa and
It's
I
gonna be
will,
beautiful. They're gonna do,
right, we're gonna meet you at the Spruce Run, so we could just walk the top and then we're
Yeah,
gonna.
we're gonna walk the River Spruce Run, or we're gonna run the River Spruce Run this year.
It's gonna be really cool.
Young allowances that young can walk?
Yeah.
Oh, you might have me.
Yeah.
If I've been.
Like, and
down-
at
the top, the
Water authorities allowing them to do it.
Because the fact that the lower Lansdowne Trail is damaged, so we can't do our normal route. So Eric went and begged, I don't know what he promised, but we are gonna be doing the rim of the Spruce Run. I'm so excited about that.
I'll do Santa tennis once we get the courts.
You're coming, right, Nancy?
There you go. Yeah, I don't play tennis. I am not coordinated enough to play tennis.
You could do pickleball. It's gonna be tennis pickleball.
Pickleball.
There you go.
So I can trip over my feet
So the
even
elves
more.
can play pickleball and Santa can play. And Claus.
So yes, so hopefully you will join us for SantaCon.
I can't run, but I'll.
You can definitely walk
I
it.
can see the rim from my house.
You can walk it.
Well, wait,
How did you ever do that?
it's not us,
Mm.
it's Eric Eisenhower.
Yeah, Eric did that.
And they're so mean, those people.
I know, aren't they?
Just want the public involved in all
But-
that space.
When during COVID, when they had it all blocked off, I'm like, can you please just open it so people can do the walk? No. But they're giving us, so that's our Christmas miracle.
Good job.
You used to be able to walk out of the back of the Red Mill
Right.
up
Really?
and then get on the dam and go across. I shouldn't say that.
Well,
We used to
You
drive
can.
through the dam and the dike
It's
on
a
the police
beautiful
car and onto the rim and drive around it.
Exactly.
So-
That's cool. Yeah.
cover your ears. Union Road, that Spruce Run entrance over there, the kids go back there now. And
I know that, just so you know.
okay, and
There
they
may
go,
be residents of the Knolls
know,
that
Jack
also utilize
Holt's
that
property
driveway.
along the cliff, you know, I post that for him, right?
do you really?
I go and help him do that. Well, he can't go up and do it anymore.
Yeah, no, that's
They
true.
asked me, but I was the one going up there posting all the signs, so.
So, but yes, we're gonna do Spruce Run. It's gonna, and then maybe there'll be a pretty little snow down.
Sure. It's not good for my bike.
Yeah, come
Well,
out.
they'll clear it before we run it.
Boy, you gotta come out just to see my sweatshirt.
Yeah, I got my t-shirts. We're all set and ready to go. I got the whole family coming.
What
Got
day
it.
is that again?
The 18th.
And that evening, from 5 to 6:30, Clinton Presbyterian Church has their drive-through live nativity.
Yes, right on
So
Center Street.
more my speed in the car, but there's that option too. It's in the evening.
Just as a note.
Yeah.
Plus, you live like 20 feet from the church.
Also, your legs aren't even 30 yet.
Oh,
What's wrong
I
with
love
you?
to walk through town, but me running, not so much.
She has an update on that too.
Well, just so everybody knows, we're going to, I told the church it'd be nice if they let the residents know, but we want to remove parking on the street from New Street to George's just to alleviate some of the traffic problems from the residents, just for that 2 to 3 hour window, because I think.
So you can't park on the
they're
street.
gonna-
Yeah.
You cannot, we're gonna hope they don't.
Where am I gonna park?
Come park at my house, 19 George's Place.
Well,
You're
I
welcome.
told her to ask the fire department if they have
I was
space.
gonna say we can go behind this pharmacy
Right.
too.
Usually
Yeah.
park, we can
Yeah.
park at the church.
Just
parking lot.
because if it'll make it very.
Actually, no.
A little full.
Yeah, no, that,
Yeah, we're just trying to make it go a little smoother.
Yeah.
We'll probably have an
we're
officer
flexible
out.
up there. We have
You can park the police car in front of our house.
anytime.
Yeah.
Yes,
We like the church lot,
If
so.
there's a flood coming.
there's all,
We
that's
do.
already been
We park
raised
them in front of
about.
65 usually.
Yeah,
Last time we parked them up at the community center, so, well, all but one.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
Moving on.
Can I have a motion to approve standby and overtime?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Denine?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
Mrs. Bartola?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Truckagen?
Yes.
Mayor Corbett?
Yes. Can I have a motion to pay the bills?
A motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Denine?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Yeah.
Mrs. Bartola?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Truckagen?
Yes.
Mayor Corbett?
Yes. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Amen.
Now you guys can leave.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying.
Nice job, Sherry.
Yeah, yeah.
Recording stopped.